I found out that he was cast as my dad, which is very funny because my mom, when I got cast, and I told my parents, well, Sean told my parents, and my mom calls me after and she's like, you know who should play your father? Mark Ruffalo. He's the only person I can imagine playing your father other than your actual father. So my mom called it or manifested it or whatever, but he is such a joy. He taught me so much about finding the truth in each scene and each moment.
Hi, Aria. Hi, Louis.
Heya.
Hi.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. A pleasure to be talking to you. And first, congratulations, because the series is so beautiful. So I'm going to start with you, Aria. How did you come on board, and what your character had that attracted you to play her?
I sort of was thrown into it on a bit of a fluke. So I had not ever had any plans to be an actor. I'd always really wanted to be when I was little, and I stifled those dreams down really deep because it just seemed like such an impractical thing. I think anyone from any historically marginalized community feels like the world is always trying to put them in a box and define what they can do, and there are just so many restrictions in place despite what someone might be capable of that I was like, well, I don't want to face any barriers or stigmas. I don't want to have a negative experience with this. And so I never even tried. And then like 20 some odd years later, a teacher comes along who I hadn't seen since I was 11 and sends me a text about a casting search. And she's like, I can imagine you doing this. And I said, no, I don't act, but thank you. I really hope that they continue the search and cast the character authentically. And then I thought about it, and I was actually really unhappy at the time and wasn't feeling very fulfilled. I was so grateful that I'd gotten where I was in my career, but I didn't feel happy and I didn't know why. And I'm like, well, maybe this will just be a pick-me-up. I love the book, and it was such a special, beautiful book, and like maybe just like reading the lines will be fun and it'll make you feel a little bit better for your rough week.
Crazy.
And so that's what I did in my bedroom, and I didn't have anybody to read with because I didn't really have friends. I just moved, and so I read the Mark Ruffalo lines on my iPad, and I left space in between, and then I hit play, and then I stood in front of the camera and I like recorded the Marie lines. It was just a mess. But I didn't think anyone would see it, so I really didn't care too much.
But you already did the British accent, didn't you?
I tried the British accent because I kind of assumed they would want.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people saw it, and now it's like all over the internet. It's ridiculous. So yeah, and then when I finally got the role, I'm like, oh my goodness, like what a gift to have your first role be this lead character in this amazing production. But not only that, you have this beautiful source material and this incredible script that you can really dive into and create this well-rounded, multi-textural, multi-dimensional person. And that's what really connected me to her, is that she's just so true and such a full person. She's not just a characterization, and bringing out all those layers was a real gift. A challenge for a first timer, but like just a real gift. And we don't have much of anything in common. Our way of experiencing the world is very different. Her time period is different. She's just this patient person, and I'm not, and like I really admire her. So it was so cool to be able to bring that type of person who's so different from me to the screen. And I love the book, and to be able to be a part of it is like living a dream.
Amazing. Louis, Werner, he goes through a lot on the series. So what was like the most challenging part to play him?
Yes, the most challenging part to play. I mean, it is true he goes through a lot, and I don't know why, but I sort of at least in the past few years, I've sort of gravitated towards those very traumatized and troubled sad boys. I gravitate to sad boys, and I don't know why, because I'm generally really happy and just I'm very content with my life. Yeah, I would say genuinely happy person, but I sort of always play those people. But I think the most challenging part for me, I mean, it was really physical at times as well. There was a lot of running, and a lot of huge explosions that I had never experienced something like that on a set, like such big sets and such big explosions.
Funny,
it was
I
really.
thought that was very normal. Because we both had a lot of
Not-
explosions. Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
not for me.
Really? I thought like this. is
I've
the
experienced
thing.
explosions,
Yeah.
but not to the scale of that.
That's so cool. No,
and then
they were big.
Yeah, they were big.
They blew me up with a
And I guess
real
in the-
grenade. Yeah, it was big.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so, yeah. But you got the rampart and the.
yeah, that was
great.
It's
intense.
Yeah. But yeah, so and then also I think it was about not making the emotional scenes all feel the same. So I guess sort of figuring out what are the nuances of that, and I think that was a challenging part for me.
Yeah. Aria, you mentioned Mark Ruffalo and how it's like work with him, and how is this experience on set?
Oh, he was just so wonderful. He's such a nice person. He's everything you want him to be. And I'm a really, really big nerd. So I have seen every Marvel movie multiple times. And I had actually recently, before I got cast, I had rewatched them like that past year. And I was just like, the Hulk is my favorite Avenger. And so I'm like, oh my God. And then I found out that he was cast as my dad, which is very funny because my mom, when I got cast, and I told my parents, well, Sean told my parents, and my mom calls me after and she's like, you know who should play your father? Mark Ruffalo. He's the only person I can imagine playing your father other than your actual father. And so she was right. Like, we didn't know at the time. And she guessed that. And I made a joke to the casting director about my mom wanted to be Mark Ruffalo. And she just went dead silent. And I should have known in that moment that it was real. So my mom called it or manifested it or whatever. But he is such a joy. He taught me so much about finding the truth in each scene and each moment. Even though, obviously this is a piece of historical fiction and sometimes it feels almost like a fable or a fantasy, and it's just this just beautiful, rich story that feels like it is of another time because it is. But he taught me so much about finding the truth and the nuance and the honesty in every moment, and it was such a joy to work with him. And he's so funny, and we both made a lot of puns, and we thought we were hilarious, but no one else on set thought we were very funny.
That's
What I really
amazing.
liked is when you told me that sometimes before your scenes he would like improvise
Yes.
as the character,
As the character,
and
yeah.
like just tell you a story from your childhood,
Yeah.
which I thought was really interesting.
And yeah, it was such an interesting thing because I think my first time acting with another actor was the scene with Louis in the attic. But my second scene acting with another actor was Mark Ruffalo and Hugh Laurie. And so that was just a lot. And so I had already learned from my 2 days of working with Louis. I had learned a lot about how to act
Not
with
a
an
lot,
actor.
but, you know.
Like also like people do this their whole lives, and I was definitely not there yet. And so he would, part of it was I know for himself, to get himself into the headspace, but also was to make me feel more comfortable and to let me let go of my Aria anxiety and allow me to step into Marie. And he would just we'd stand at the front door of the house and wait for Marion Bailey, who plays Madame Manette, to open the door. And he would be like, oh, what a long road. Didn't that long road we just walked on remind you of X road in Paris that we used to live there, and they would have these beautiful croissants and we would enjoy them. And do you remember when I bought you the puzzle box and we sat on a bench just like that one? And he would come up with these images, and it would relax me and soothe me and help me
cool.
fall into the character. And I know it did the same for him too. And it was just really nice that maybe we're just both really anxious people, but it was very helpful.
That's amazing. I just want to thank you so much for your time, and a pleasure to meet you both. A lot of success, and I hope everybody keep watching. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank
If you like this video, don't forget to comment, to like, and subscribe to our channel right here.